Lake Effect continues on WUWM. I'm Mitch Tyke. Practically tucked away on Milwaukee's Brady Street is a cozy-looking two-story white house set back from the street where you can get a great cup of Stone Creek coffee. It blends in nicely with the neighborhood of boutique and thrift stores and mom-and-pop coffee shops. But if you look closely, it becomes clear the building isn't just any old coffee house. Many of its customers are in clothes with military insignias or they're wearing fatigues. The building is the home of Dry Hooch, a nonprofit veterans organization that, not so incidentally, also sells a mean cup of joe. Dry Hooch's motto pretty much describes the group's mission, helping the veteran and their family who survived the war survive the peace. But it's how Dry Hooch is approaching that task that makes it stand out from its neighbors on Brady Street. It also stands out as a new model for modern vets organizations. Lake Effect Stephanie Lecce takes us inside Dry Hooch to learn more about how it helps our veterans.
Like Norm on the TV show Cheers, regulars to Milwaukee's Dry Hooch will often get an enthusiastic greeting. But Dry Hooch is most definitely not a bar. In fact, it was designed to be the exact opposite. Several years ago, Vietnam veteran and Dry Hooch founder Bob Curry was on the long road back to sobriety. His sponsor brought him to a popular veterans bar, and as he connected with other vets over a General MacArthur burger, Curry had an idea.
And when I left, I looked at him and I said, I wonder if you can do it without the booze.
So Curry and a few friends began looking for a way to create a place for veterans to get together that was, as the name references, dry. They found a solution in coffee, first selling it out of a tent near the VA grounds, then later at a hooch, or house, on Brady Street.
You know, you put the coffee culture together. You know, you need that social space where people can come in and don't even want to talk, just want to sit and maybe listen or play a game. So the idea was to have a non-alcoholic, non-threatening social space.
It's a novel idea, and it's one aimed specifically at younger veterans who are less likely to join groups like the American Legion than past generations were.
We don't try to displace any of these other veteran groups, but remember, these older groups kind of stagnated at the Vietnam veterans, so it was World War II and Korea. So a number of them are closing down because they have no membership. So they're a generation that's, oh my God, like grandpas to the current generation. And then mention Twitter and Facebook, and you've totally lost them.
The Dry Hooch model also helps break the ice when it comes to getting veterans to talk about problems they might be having. Vietnam-era Army veteran Mark Flower is a peer counselor at Dry Hooch.
Our hope is that when they come in through the door, they have a cup of coffee, they kind of maybe read some literature, instead of having them have to, let's say, go to the VA, walk through that door, and it's like a commitment. And there's that admitting that there's something wrong. Because we veterans sometimes have a wonderful ability to think that we can fix it ourselves. And some of the stuff that sometimes we deal with, we really can't, even though we think we can.
What we're finding with this particular group of veterans is that drug use, very severe drug use and alcohol use, has become so endemic that as they begin to recover from those addictions, they need a place where they can come where the alcohol isn't part of the equation.
Army Nurse Corps veteran Allison Lighthall is Dry Hooch's clinical director. She says there's a high rate of PTSD and other mental health issues facing veterans today, particularly those coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. But Lighthall says many don't know how to access treatment, or get put on the wrong medications, or are afraid that admitting they need help will hurt their military careers.
So what's the answer? Well, you know what? A shot of Jack takes care of a lot of this anxiety, and so that's what they start with. Smoking a joint seems to take care of most of my nightmares. Okay, so they're trying to problem solve the circumstances that they're facing because they're not getting the kind of care that they so desperately need.
Statistics show a high co-occurrence rate between mental illness and substance abuse among veterans, especially young veterans. More than 8% of vets between the ages of 18 and 25 deal with both conditions. Of course, not all veterans suffer from addiction. Allison Kitzero knows firsthand how hard it is for some veterans to realize they need help, whether it's with substance abuse or simply readjusting to civilian life. Kitzero is now the Director of Development and Communications for Dry Hooch, but in 2004, she had just returned from serving in the military police in Iraq. Kitsero says she wanted to jump right back into the life she left behind, like her studies at Marquette University. But soon she began having stomach problems and says she felt tense and depressed.
It wasn't actually for 2 years that I actually decided to seek help from the VA. And I can't tell you how it helped me so much. I think the first day I went in for my appointment with my VA psychologist, I guess my shoulders were like up to my ears. And he's like, can you put your shoulders down? Like, why are they like that? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, take a deep breath. So I took a deep breath and suddenly my shoulders went all the way down.
But Kitsero says it can be hard for veterans to find help, especially through the bureaucracy at the Veterans Administration.
We're not here to take the place of the VA or, other mental health nonprofits. We want to partner with them. So, we might be that first place that somebody might go to because they're not sure what kind of VA benefits they get, or they're not sure if they even want to go. And they could come here and they could talk to somebody like me who's been through the system.
That's where Dry Hooch's second floor comes in. There, veterans can find out about resources and services being offered by partner organizations in the community, such as Narcotics Anonymous or the Greater Milwaukee chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Or they can meet one-on-one with peer counselors. Clinical Director Allison Lighthall trains the peer mentors, most of whom are also veterans. She says it's easier for vets to talk with other vets.
Having a battle buddy is what we call it in the Army. Having a battle buddy that you can go and talk to decreases the loneliness because we usually pair them up with someone who's sort of been through this already and gotten to the other side. So there's a greater sense of hope. There's somebody there who's saying, hey, shoulder to shoulder with you. I'm not leaving you behind. I'm here with you. If you fall, I'm helping you get up.
Dry Hooch also runs several support groups in-house, some for combat veterans, some for older vets, some for their families.
Well, hopefully you'll come and attend some of the groups that we've got going on here because, there's people here that get it. You don't have to explain it. We get it.
Vera Roddy is an Air Force veteran who served during the Cold War and Desert Storm. She runs an arts and crafts group usually attended by women vets. But today, Olivia Richardson and her dad, Vietnam Navy veteran Roger Richardson, are there drawing.
And they're better than mine.
Let's see yours. Oh, I think yours is good. I like it.
Roddy says every now and then, in the midst of socializing, a veteran will start to open up, like Roger Richardson does today.
I don't talk about it. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that happened over there I've never told no one.
I think we all have our hidden stories.
As he speaks, Richardson draws a pink heart with a thick black line through its center.
Hey, look at the heart. Did you draw that?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's for the heartbreak.
Heartbreak?
Heartbreak, yep. And the widows and the dead.
Yeah.
As healing as these interactions may be for the veterans coming to Dry Hooch, Allison Lighthall says it's just as important for the veterans helping them. Some who are still struggling themselves often feel they're perceived as crazy.
There's still a mission to accomplish, and the mission supersedes whatever pain and suffering that they themselves deal with. That's admirable. That's stronger than most civilians. They're not crazy. They're amazing.
We can help ourselves if we're helping somebody else.
Again, founder and executive director Bob Curry.
If you look at the Vietnam Wall, and if you extend it 4 times, that's the number of veterans who committed suicide within 10 years after the war was done. So, and how many of us have struggled. I struggled with addiction, so we thought, let's not let this happen again. And so now it's been partnering with what we call our younger brothers and sisters to help each other out in whatever way we can.
Curry hopes to get even more federal funding to continue the mission at the Brady Street location. And this new model for a modern veterans organization is already catching on elsewhere in Wisconsin and Illinois. There are even plans for a central Wisconsin hooch in Stevens Point. But the Dry Hooch of America team also hopes to reach further into the broader community. They want civilians to know that they can help struggling vets and thank them for their service. And of course, they can also stop into Dry Hooch and buy a cup of coffee. For Lake Effect, I'm Stephanie Lecce.